Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong or strongly urge to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
And welcome to the Scott Wetzel Show on this terrific Tuesday afternoon. Yours truly sitting in for the next 2 hours or so, taking a look at the world of sports. We got a lot to get to. We got a little MLB. We got some college football. We got some golf, WNBA, NFL news, baseball stuff to get to, winning picks to get to as well. Our proverbial will leave you with this and a new way for women to kind of show off their bodies. We'll get to all those stories, plus some email tweets and some Twitter tweets, and as well as some YouTube tweets as well. Everything's a tweet to me. So you're following us on our YouTube channel, The Scott Wetzel Show. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and fire away. We'll have some YouTube chats. You want to send a tweet? It is at Opposite Picks. That's OPPOSITE Picks, PICKS. Email me, go to the website, oppositepicks.com, hit the contact Scott icon, and fire away. What's going on, LLs, LWs, loyal listeners, loyal watchers? How are you on this terrific Tuesday? Another gorgeous day here on Long Island. I don't want to sound like an old man, leading off with weather all the time. Although we do have a weather story for you that is just unbelievably stupid, but I suppose it happens to all of us. We'll get to that. We got some baseball plays to get to recap what we did yesterday, and more importantly, what are we going to do later on today? And, it's winding down here. We only have about a week and a half left before the NFL season kicks off, and really less than that since we got some games, next Wednesday? So we really, we have about 8 days to get our fantasy pool picks in and all the other pools that we're going to do. I set a budget, and I'm getting close to that budget, but I do have room for like one more good pool. So we'll talk about that as well. So college football, we got golf, like I said, and some NFL stuff, kind of recapping what happened yesterday, especially with the Cleveland Browns and WNBA. It's almost over, folks. It's almost over with the WNBA. Another week and a half, and really probably the end of this week. Once we get into college football over the weekend, and then next weekend, we're previewing all the NFL games. That'll really put an end to the WNBA. Hate to say it, because I follow the sport. I bet on the sport. I told you, I appreciate the sport for what it is. But, it's been over the top with the WNBA nonsense with Caitlin Clark, then with Sophie Cunningham. Now we got the Enes Kanter situation, and it's getting old. It really is. It's too bad. The WNBA is a great example of a sport that just was better off left in the closet. Pardon the pun. And I'm not saying that because of all the lesbian stuff, right? It was better off just being not mainstream. It really was. Do whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Have dildos be thrown on the basketball court. Nobody cares last year, right? This year, when you become mainstream like they've become, everything gets blown way out of proportion. And it's just a non-ending thing. So we're almost done. Everyone has their 15 minutes of fame. And the WNBA, to its credit, and we don't say that too often, right? We really don't. To its credit, they decided to have their league in the summertime when there's nothing else going on. And it makes all the sense in the world. It really does. Unlike, the NBA, where they can easily have their league in the summertime. And if they ever did, man, I can't help but think how much they would dominate. They really would. But for whatever reason, they want to go head-to-head, with the college football and the NFL. And their seasons last so damn long that, it goes into June anyway, Scott. So what's the point? It's almost summertime, right? But the WNBA said, all right, there's nothing going on basically in June, nothing going on in July and August, so let's have our league then. All right, you know what? So like I said, it's one of the rare smart things that this goofy league has done. But with that, comes the repercussions. And there's always repercussions to every decision you make, whether it's really good or really bad. And the really bad thing for them is it brings attention to the sport like you want. But unfortunately for the WNBA, 99% of that attention is bad. It just is. So we're almost done with it. A couple more days, and then we'll be through with the WNBA. College football, meanwhile, it's amazing. WNBA has their problems. College sports certainly has their problems, whether it's college basketball, college football. I don't know if hockey necessarily does, but there's so many, scandals with hockey off the ice that, they kind of have their own issues. Baseball, they kind of lived through the steroid era, but they have their issues. That's why they're changing all the rules. Games too long, games too boring, it's too slow, blah, 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 right? Football is the only one, man. It is an NFL. It is king. There's a reason why the NFL is king, and it's not just because everyone loves it. It's immune to it all. It really is. I mean, baseball, man, you do steroids in baseball, you're the villain of all villains. NFL, whatever. Who cares, right? Baseball, you do this. Hockey, you do that. NBA, you make too much money. These guys don't care about their sport, blah, 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 blah. NFL, go ahead, make as much as you want. I don't care. Fit it in the salary cap. You want to pay a mediocre quarterback $50 million? Whatever. As long as you win on Sunday. It's all that matters. It's all about winning and losing for the fan in the NFL. Can't really say that about any other sport. There's always something. Cheating in college football. WNBA, having men be allowed. Baseball and steroids. NBA, these guys don't care. They don't want to play any games. Hockey to a little lesser extent. They don't have too many issues. But football is king. And man, they could do no wrong. It is amazing. When's the last time we've had a scandal, right? Deflategate, with Tom Brady, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever that was. By the way, whatever happened to those guys? I've always said this, for all the so-called football insiders and all these websites all trying to look for stories, whatever happened to the two bozos that were working the locker room for the New England Patriots with Tom Brady? And those two guys took the fall, if you remember. It was those guys that were deflating the footballs, right? They got fired, never to be heard from ever again, right? I can't help but if Barstool or some goofy site out there, TMZ's into sports now, if they just look these guys up and just let's go see where they're living. Let's see what their life is like now. See what they're doing now. I would not be surprised to see both of those guys living in multi-million-dollar mansions, thanks to the New England Patriots / Tom Brady. Wouldn't doubt that at all, but. Nobody cared. Nobody cares. Who cares? All right, Brady was cheating. Who cares? Patriots were cheating. Whatever. Who's winning this weekend? That's all we care about in the NFL. So college football has its big issues now. Now it's the NFL players who are being cut by these teams being allowed back in the league. And the college football world, to its credit, will start here, is trying to fight back. They're doing their best. They're putting up the good front, but I hate to break it to the SEC and the Big Ten and maybe the ACC, but you can't circumvent, rules that the government puts down. If the government says, and they have, it's okay for these guys to go back to college, I don't care what the SEC says. I don't care what the Big Ten or the ACC apparently is going to look at that issue later today. I don't care what they say. They're going to lose. If Billy Bob gets cut by the Cleveland Browns like Daquan Wright did this past weekend, and he wants to sign with, we'll say LSU, which is apparently where he's going, I don't care what SEC rule says. You can't stop him. They sent out a letter yesterday, late last night, or late yesterday, anyway, after our show ended, the SEC said that their beliefs are that athletes who choose to leave college, go sign professional contracts like these guys have done, should not be allowed back into college. Big Ten set out a rule today, basically saying the same thing. Any player that's declared for the NFL draft and did not withdraw, whether they were drafted or not, appeared on an NFL roster like these guys have done, or signed a contract with the pro league, cannot be on a Big Ten roster. Well, listen, that's not what the government says. That's not what our laws say. You can't make a rule, that supervents, the real rule in life. You can't do it. You can say whatever you want. But all these guys have to do is go back to courts and say, listen, some judge said I could play in the Big Ten. I could play for Indiana, and the Big Ten's not allowing me. It would take 30 seconds for that judge to say, Big Ten, can't do it. Can't do it. I know you're trying is good. You're like I said, you're trying to put up a good front, but it's already been ruled. These guys can go back to college. And like I said, the ACC told the four-letter network that they're going to look at this issue later this week. And I guess they're going to probably come back with the same thing. Or, maybe the ACC says, you know what, guys? All right. SEC doesn't want you. Big Ten doesn't want you. Our conference is falling apart at the seams. Come play with us. Come play with Clemson or Miami or SMU or, pick a school, North Carolina State, whatever. I can't help but Bill Belichick would have some insights into some of that stuff, some connections in the NFL, right? You can't stop it. Ryan Day yesterday, kind of like said what is probably the consensus, which will eventually take over. So late yesterday afternoon, they asked him about, these guys being allowed back in college, right? And it was asked, would you consider signing some of these guys at Ohio State? And he said, well, we'd have to at least consider it. He also added that I don't like anything about it. Absolutely not. But we got to do what's right for Ohio State. So it's sort of a day-to-day thing right now. And like anything, we're just going to try to adapt. But I think we would all agree, maybe not everybody says, but as he corrects himself, but has to be a certain point where your roster gets locked in. He doesn't necessarily say he's against it. It's just that, how can you continue to change your roster? How many times can you add players and drop players? So, Lane Kiffin, basically said the same thing. You're either going to play for you or they're going to play for somebody else. So I might as well sign him, whether I like it or not, right? It would be nice for Lane Kiffin or Ryan Day, who are trying to tell you they don't really like it, but those are the rules. And, there's a part of me that understands that. There have been a lot of things over the years. If you want to go old school, that, it took a long time for teams and conferences and leagues to adapt to, whether it was the transfer portal. You had some head coaches, Dabo Swinney at Clemson, that swore he would never use the transfer portal. It's not right. But you know what? If you don't, you're going to get run over. Remember the three-point shot in the NBA? That took a long time. Now, this is 40 years ago, but that took a long time for teams to really – it's really only been about the last 10, maybe 15 years. When Jordan was playing, again, that's 20, 25 years ago. They didn't use the three-point shot. A three-point shot back then was like, wow, the biggest thing in the world. So it took a lot of teams and a lot of coaches to think, okay, the three-point shot is actually, worth something. Even more modern times, the ghost runner. Not that you had a choice on whether you were going to use the ghost runner or not, but, everybody hated the ghost runner. Extra innings, put a runner on second base. But, in reality, it's actually worked. It really has. You only have a handful of games that have gone past the 12th inning. So it just takes a little while for people to adapt. Maybe that's what's happening here. But I must say, there is a part that would just like to have Ryan Day say, you know what, I don't like it. I'm at a big-time school, Lane Kiffin. I'm at a big-time school that's going to challenge for a national championship, and I don't like the rules, so I'm not going to adhere to it. I'm not going to add players. I know I can. I know there's some good players. Listen, if you're on an NFL roster, you got to be pretty damn good, right? So there's some guys that I could have, but I'm not going to do it because I just don't believe in it. It would be nice to have some big-time head coaches say that. Even if it meant, okay, I'm not going to Ohio State, I'm going to Michigan then. All right, I'm not going to go to LSU. I'm going to go to Georgia or Alabama then, and have the coach say, go ahead. You know what? We're going to win this way. And if we don't, well, we don't. But as much as that would be nice to see and hear, not going to happen. It'll never happen. They'll put up the front. Boy, we really don't like this and it's not right. Do I like anything about it? Absolutely not, according to Day, right? But then half hour from now, he'll be on the phone calling up these kids saying, hey, you want to come to Ohio State? I don't believe any of them. I really don't. Is it fair? All around the board. How about the kids? Let's say Ohio State signs 2 or 3, or looks like LSU's going to sign at least 2 or 3 of these guys, right? So you add these players, people are either getting knocked off the roster or they're certainly losing their starting positions, but that's life with the big boys, right? I mean, don't go to Ohio State, don't go to LSU if you don't think your roster spot is secure. I mean, if you go, you're good enough, you'll play. If not, you won't. But, again, on the surface, it's not right. I spent the last 6 months practicing, last 2 months, in 2-a-days, 3-a-days, preparing for the season. I'm being told I'm going to start at left tackle, and then all of a sudden, a week from now, I'm not in the starting lineup. I might not even be on a team, for goodness sakes. So there's a lot of things, though, that aren't wrong with college sports. And this is just one of them. And like I said, you're good for the Big Ten and the SEC to say, we're not going to allow these kids in, but you can't stop them. When the government says that they're allowed back in, then they're going to be allowed back in, whether you like it or not. College sports has just lost its grip. That they've just lost it. The moment, 2-3 years ago, whatever it was, that, the UCLA guys went to the courts for their NIL stuff, the like image and all that opened up the Pandora's box to everything else. Everything else. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be this big and this wide and this crazy. I really don't. But the door is open and it's not anywhere close to being shut. I've said this before. I told you guys this. I really believe within the next 2 years, maybe 3, but realistically, the next 2 years, we're going to see trades. We're going to use these players as pieces of meat. And that's basically what they are, right? No more going to school. You don't have to go to school. Just represent Georgia, represent Ohio State, represent Alabama. And you know what? We got 4 quarterbacks. We like 3 of them. Joe Schmo, I know you're a 4-star athlete, but we really don't need you. You know what? We're going to trade you to Topeka High. We're going to trade you to Northwestern. We're going to trade you somewhere else. And we're going to get a player. I don't doubt that for a second. This is going down the road of being just a professional league, and it just happens to be at college. Now, I will say when that happens, the one thing they do lose is why these kids are allowed to come back now is because every other kid in the world is allowed to go back to college. Right? I could be, I haven't been in college in 20 years. If I want to go back and go get a master's degree or something like that, I'm allowed to go back. And that's the main argument. Why is it because I'm a football player or a basketball player or a baseball player? Why can't I go back to college and play sports when all these other people can go back to college and go get their degree? Same thing. Now, when you say you're not going to college and you're no longer a college kid, you kind of lose that argument. But that's the main argument. That's the basis of it all. If regular college kids can go back to college, then why can't I? And if they could join all these sports and all these academic things and whatever they can, why can't I just join football? Why can't I just join basketball? And the dopey courts who couldn't spell sport, if you spotted them, the S and the T, are like, yeah, makes sense. You're right. So go back to college. Go ahead. I don't even think this 5 years thing might last long. I could see them, again, going back. Listen, I could go to college for 6 years. I only need 1 course, 2 courses to be, considered a college student realistically. I could do that for 10 years. It's crazy. It is. But like I said, I don't think we're anywhere close. I really just think this is going to be an NFL minor league system. You're going to get the top 30 teams, just like in soccer, top 30 teams. Not hard to figure out who the top 30 are. They're going to join their own league. They're going to create their own league, create their own rules. You tell the kids, here's the contract you sign. You're with us. We'll draft you out of high school if need be. And that's what's going to be college sports. No two ways about it. No two ways. Maybe 3 years. Whatever the TV contracts are up, then that's when the 4-letter network or Fox or whoever is going to come up with a multi-gazillion-dollar deal. They're going to guarantee all these colleges $1 billion apiece, and they're going to create the league. So figure out when the TV contracts are up, and that's when it's going to happen, more than likely. More details on the Jed York thing from yesterday, right? So apparently it was $160, not $140. So he's not quite as bad, but it's still pretty bad. He apparently was this is the owner of the San Francisco 49ers, right? Responding to an ad on a prostitution website, arranging about $140 to $160 sexual encounter before being arrested. I guess he tweeted or contacted the supposed person who ended up being a police officer twice on Saturday, no response, and then again on Sunday. So this guy was horny for the entire weekend. I mean, dude. I just can't believe it. Listen, we're all dogs. I get this. And he did get a divorce a couple of months ago. So it's not like he's cheating on his wife, right? And I don't, you want to go to a prostitute, knock yourself out, whatever. Like I said yesterday, if we're all going to be thrown in jail because we're horny, then, the whole jail is going to be home for everybody. So I don't care about that. It's just the look. You're a multi-billionaire and you're going to a trailer park for $100 what BJ is that $140? Is that what you're getting? I mean, and you're so horny that you couldn't hook up on Saturday, so you're going to continue with this hoax, if you will, and call this person or text this person, email this person on Sunday as well. You can't go to a bar Saturday night like we told you yesterday and go get laid. You're the multi-billion-dollar owner. Call one of your players, right? Hey, listen, Brock Purdy, I know you got 5,000 girlfriends. Do me a favor, what? Throw a little party, all right? Invite me. I'm in the mood. We're all here together. We're all at camp. I'll come to camp. I'll come to you. And then we'll go have a big party, and I'll get my Joneses off. I mean, it's just something like that. It's Ohio. Call LeBron James. Hey, LeBron, owner of the San Francisco 49ers. I know you got connections. I'm horny. Can you hook me up? Whether it's white, black, Chinese girl, what's the difference? I'm in the mood. There's got to be, there just has to be more to this story. There has to be. I mean, but then when you find out, like you said, he tried all weekend. I mean, dude, go grab a magazine. Go on Block TV. There's 50,000 porno channels on Block TV in addition to everything else. I mean, go rent the video. To do something. Maybe not. Maybe this is just it. Maybe, he's a relatively young guy. He looks like he's been in his 50s or so, right? So, I don't know. If he was in his 60s or 70s, especially, then I could see, I'm not going to a bar, Scott. I'm 65 years old, 70. I'm not hanging out in a bar. Okay, but this guy looks a little bit younger than that. And like I said, he's got all those players. Now one of those guys he's buddies with, and I don't know. It just seems weird. So I guess he didn't use his real name. He used a fake name, responded multiple times, a fictitious ad. So again, I don't know why they have to do this. They're suckering you in, but they did with him, and they got him. He went to the trailer park home, I guess, to meet this supposed hooker, and that's where they arrested him. Of course, the trailer park, worrying about their image, the Wheat Hill Mobile Park, trailer park, says, "Oh, he was only arrested here, but we're not. There wasn't a sting operation here." Nobody cares about your mobile home trailer park, so I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. But like I said, there's certain stories that jump off the page for me. This is one of them where it's just, it can't be just this. I don't know what else it could be. Was he looking to buy drugs? See, that makes sense. See, drugs make sense. If you're a druggie, not that I've ever been one, just never been my scene. So, but, will you go to a $140 trailer park? Yeah. You know what? I want to buy drugs. Well, I live in a trailer park. I don't care if you live on the moon. Where do you live? I'll meet you there. That makes sense. Is this a cover up for that? Maybe. Maybe. Just throwing it out there. But we'll find out, I guess, eventually, hopefully. But keep in mind, this is the same organization that, 3 weeks ago didn't tell us about their head coach, being pulled over, for, getting into a car accident and damn near probably killing somebody, right? We didn't find out about that for 2.5 weeks later. Think we're really going to find out about the owner? Probably not. Now that I think about it, they can't wait. Out of all the teams that can't wait for the football season to begin, San Francisco 49ers are it. For sure. For sure. All right, we got the Cleveland Browns situation, right? So we found this out yesterday, before yesterday's show that Todd Monken decided on Deshaun Watson as their starting quarterback. We'll take a break. When we'll come back, we'll hear from Monken on why, in fact, he chose Deshaun. And then we'll hear from Deshaun Watson himself on, he apologized to the Cleveland Browns fan, had some interesting things to say. I know, NFL players can kind of dictate things in life, but, he got a couple weird things there I do want to take note of. And then we got the, leaving for golf to get into the mix, normally it's, football or baseball or WNBA. We got golf controversy, which the woke community is just like, it's alive and well on the internet. It really is. So we'll get to all those stories. You want to follow me on Twitter, send a tweet. It is at Opposite Picks. That's OPPOSITE Picks, PICKS. On our YouTube page, the Scott Wetzel Show, hit that like button, subscribe button. We already got some YouTube comments, but throw some more up there. We'll read those throughout the program as well. We got our baseball picks coming up. We'll run down some NFL pools that I started. If you're interested in joining some pools, I started 3 of them. We'll go over those as well. So busy Tuesday, just getting underway. It's Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there. Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to FanStreamSports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. FanStreamSports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. FanStreamSports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tom's Town, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka. named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tom's Town, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com. FanStreamSports.com, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Looking at the world of sports. College football, we'll break it down a little bit more later in the week, Thursday and Friday. Going to have a bunch of guests on. Then next week, obviously, it's the NFL. And that's when the real football season begins with the NFL and a full slate of college football games. We got, 7 or 8, 9 games next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, and then a full slate the following week. And that's what we really get into things. And I'll have all kind of trends and picks. We got Mark Lawrence on Friday. We're going to get Colby Dant doing the college football stuff. Hope to get our boy Lisi doing some college things as well. So it should be a lot of fun when the season does start. So we announced yesterday, or they announced obviously yesterday, that Deshaun Watson was going to be your Cleveland Browns quarterback for the upcoming season for the near foreseeable future. He did say it was not a week-to-week thing, but eventually you got to play well. So here's Munkin yesterday. I think we played a little portion of this yesterday. I want to set it up for you.
All right. Fire away. What's new?
So the word is out that Deshaun, explain your decision.
Deshaun is going to start against Jacksonville. Took in the full body of work over the course of off-season to training camp to the games, the joint practice, and ultimately felt like to start the season on the road, Deshaun gave us the best chance to move the ball and score points. I mean, that's really what it's about. And felt that way going into the last game. Wasn't sure, and after we talked as a staff, and after we re-looked at everything, we're going to go that direction.
I don't, the quality of that wasn't great, but he threw for 36 yards and an interception this last weekend. I mean, I don't know, how bad is Shedeur Sanders that this past week's performance by Watson solidified their answer. Sanders played great, or I don't want to say great, but he threw for 100 yards and a touchdown and an interception, but with 9 of 12, 9 of 11 for about 100 yards, while Watson was awful. He threw for 36 yards with an interception. And then you have the comments, afterwards, like we spoke about yesterday. So I don't get where this past week's performance solidified their notion that it was going to be Watson. I can't help but think he made some promises. I didn't think he would be in this position. As I told you yesterday, I thought Munkin during his interview process would come in and sell them on Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. By the way, there's Dylan Gabriel. Don't forget, they used a 3rd-round pick. They didn't draft Sanders until later on. They used a 3rd-round pick on a quarterback. That's a pretty high pick, right? You figure he would get the benefit of the doubt. Then they used a 6th-rounder this past draft on Taylor Green, another scrambling quarterback out of Arkansas. So they got all these quarterback issues, and then they go back to the old well with Deshaun Watson. And again, I can't help but think that Munkin probably sold ownership, give me the job, and I'll make one of these new guys our quarterback of the future. I can't imagine him going in there and saying, listen, I'm going to pick Deshaun Watson, and you're going to have to give him another $30-40 million a year. I know you've already pissed away 200, but I'm going to make him the quarterback that he was. Maybe he did. But I would have thought it would have been the other way around. And if both quarterbacks, as Munkin was asked, if they're both similar, why wouldn't you take the younger guy who is making less money and seems to be the quarterback of the future? But it's the Cleveland Browns, and now here's Deshaun Watson. Basically, I'm going to let this run. It goes about 2 minutes or so, but figure out what 2 words he never said.
Saturday after the game, I think just, human nature, just myself being very emotional, putting a lot of time these last 2 years to, get back and, spend time in this facility, in the city, meeting a lot of different people in the community. I thought I was going to get, a little different response, but, I think, my emotions got the best of me. My comments wasn't intending to go at any of the fans around in the city, because there's been a lot of great fans that have been supporting me. And I know the frustration this organization have put, a lot of investment and coming, to get me back in 2022. Things haven't been going the right direction that we thought it was. A lot of energy, a lot of time off, not putting the best football in my foot forward. So, again, just, I understand the frustration. I understand everything that kind of goes into that. And moving forward, I just want to focus on football, making sure that, I'm putting the best product out there, having the best ability, because I thrive off the energy. I thrive off the energy of the fans. I thrive off the energy of the community.
All right, he goes on and just rambles on. And I had a couple people on Twitter, notable people, say, Deshaun Watson apologizes for comments that he made after the game Saturday. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He never said the 2 word. He never says, I'm sorry. He never says I was wrong. He never says I shouldn't have said that. The only thing he says is I'll take accountability. I was frustrated. It was after the game. I let my heart talk. By the way, not coincidentally the same thing that the head coach said yesterday when he was, giving Watson an excuse. But he never says I'm sorry. He never says I was wrong. He never says I'll never do it again. He never says any of those things. He just, talks about it and says, okay, I'll take accountability. All right, well, taking accountability is the fans hating you. That's taking accountability. Just because you say I'm going to take accountability doesn't mean, okay, you're off the hook. There you go. We don't need, as I tell my wife, I don't need you to tell me you can't cook. I know you can't cook. I don't need you to tell me you can't clean. I know you don't clean. I want you to change. I want you to start cooking, and I want you to start cleaning, right? Same thing here with Watson. I don't need you to say you effed up. I know you effed up. I want to hear those words. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. I was wrong. And he danced around it, but he never said it. He never said it. And, I got Mary Kay Cabot, who covers the Cleveland Browns, has for a long, long time, but, a respected reporter. I got Barstool, love their website, all tweeting out the same thing. Watson apologizes. Not in the tweet that I saw, he didn't. Now, maybe he did later on in the press conference. I didn't watch the whole thing. I couldn't take more than 2.5 minutes of it. I'm fed up to hear with him. I really am. But no, he didn't apologize. He didn't say I was sorry. Didn't say anything. He just said, I said what I said. I let my heart get the best of me, And then even in this stupid little apology, what's he saying? Well, I thought I'd get a better reaction. Dude, you came to Cleveland, as I told you yesterday, you came to Cleveland facing an 11-game suspension for all your antics off the field. What do you think? They were going to throw you a parade? They're giving you a monster $250 or so million contract. You haven't played. Forget about winning. You haven't played a down for the Browns. Then they give up 3 first-round picks. They give you a monster contract, and then you come with the baggage of knowing you're going to miss, basically an entire season. And yet you want a parade from the Cleveland Browns fan? Really? And then when you do play, you suck? You show no interest whatsoever? Nothing? Like you were in Houston? You're 9-10 as a starter. You've lived the Browns. This is not a new guy coming in. You've been with the Browns now. This is your 5th year. You know what the Browns. They're like the Jets. Same old Jets. Same old Browns. It's not like you're coming into the situation new and you haven't experienced all that stuff. You've been experiencing that for 4 years. Now, after 4 years, 5th year in, now you're going to implode. Now you're going to rip the fans. I don't like, there aren't too many guys that I really, really like and root for that I turn my back on them, but I have with him. I really, where there's smoke, there's fire. Again, thankfully he was never accused of raping anyone or attacking anyone. He just wanted a hand job or a blow job. That's what it sounds like. Probably got a little too aggressive. He probably got some from some masseuses and others he didn't. And he figured, okay, I'm going to get them from all of them. And I really don't doubt that's what happened. That's not the end of the world. But his whole attitude, never apologizing for that, never admitting any guilt whatsoever. No, wasn't my, nothing. Just like this. Never said I'm sorry. Nothing. So I've kind of turned my back. And then, to top it all off is he's been out. He's been awful. Just brutal as a Cleveland Brown. Where that guy is, that we saw with Houston and, obviously before that at Clemson in college, I don't know, but he's not there now. And I don't think he's returning. And like I said yesterday, I don't doubt for a second he's trying. I don't doubt that at all. Last year of his contract, he doesn't want to go into this offseason, having a lousy year and not having anyone be interested in him as a starter, which is a big drop from making 30, 35, 40 million as a starter, right? Versus 5 million, maybe a 2-year, $10 million contract, something like that as a backup. So I don't doubt he's trying, but it's not there. It's not there. Not with this team. Anyway, maybe change the scenery. Maybe that would work, but this Cleveland, I tell you, I don't think there's a team that's going to change its image this year in the NFL. You might get a team, I don't know what to say about the New England Patriots, because that New England Patriot team last year, that is like so rare. They were so bad 2 years ago, but they brought in Vrabel and Drake May became the starter, and boy, everything worked perfectly, right? So we might get something like that, but I don't think so. As far as changing the image. The Browns are the Cleveland Browns. The New York Jets are going to be the New York Jets. Miami Dolphins are going to suck. We know that they have for the longest time. So, is there anyone else? The Raiders are the Raiders, right? They can't find a quarterback on their roster, even though they had two. Right? The running back who damn broke his ankle ready. So the Raiders are going to be the Raiders at the end of the year. Tom Brady's not changing that. So man, there's nothing really. I don't know who else. The Bungles. Soon as Joey B goes down to an injury, like we know he's going to, the Bungles will be the Bungles. So the same 4 or 5 teams that have had this black cloud hanging over their head, it's going to be the same thing. It will this year. I don't think there's going to be any New England Patriots. I really don't. So, and the Browns are doing everything in their power to make sure that exactly is what happens. It's amazing. How about the golf world? Well, you don't generally get controversy. Although, you know what? Maybe I should change that with the LIV. We've had some controversy, right? So the latest one is Callaway Golf. I'm not a golf fan or whatever. Callaway's, the Big Bertha, big golf club manufacturer, right? In fact, I got a Big Bertha that's 30 years old. About 20 years old. I got one of the original Big Berthas. I still do, right? So they're coming out with new groups, obviously, every year, get people to buy. So what do when you come up with new clubs? You advertise. So they made a commercial to promote their latest club. Now, I'm going to read you the statements before I show you the commercial, because that's how I saw it, right? I saw the statement first, right? So the CEO of Callaway came out today and issued this statement. Last week, Good in Callaway. Good is a manufacturing or a golfing video firm. Right? Last week, Good in Callaway posted a video to promote brand driver. While the video was produced by Good, it was approved by Callaway prior to posting. That approval should never have happened. Mistakes were made. We're taking the matter very seriously. We believe we have been a positive force for diversity and inclusion in the game of golf. This video was completely inconsistent with that. I assure you that we will learn from this and do better. And then Good issued an apology saying the same thing over the weekend. This commercial did not align with our values as a brand. We've always stood for making the game of golf more inclusive to all. So I'm reading this statement, and I'm saying, what the fudge did they do? I mean, did they put someone in a gorilla outfit? I mean, just think of all the stereotypical things that are out there, whether it's for blacks, whether it's for women, whether it's for Catholics. I mean what did they do? I mean, I got two companies apologizing up and down like it's, oh, my God. So I got to search this statement out, or I got to search this commercial out, right? So knowing all that stuff, here's the commercial.
Do not touch my new driver.
No, Johnny, no, don't do it. No, please, don't. Johnny, are you okay?
It's over. He's gone.
What's happening?
And that's it. I had to see it play. Like, all right, let me look closer. It only goes about a minute, so I'll play it again. Give him free publicity here. But what is like so crazy about it? That's one. We'll get into that.
Do not touch my new driver.
So he doesn't want the female to touch his driver. He knocks her down. That's the main thing. He swings his driver. I don't know what this is.
Johnny, no, don't do it.
He's going to touch his driver?
No, don't.
He does anyway?
Are you okay?
And then he swings and misses 5 times? On purpose, I guess.
It's over. He's gone.
I don't. Help me out, Tim. I mean, I know we'll get to the female being knocked over, and I guess that's. I don't even get the intent of the commercial.
I'm as much of a loss as you are. Like, number one, the production quality looked like a 3rd grade class filmed it,
right?
And it's not, doesn't look professionally done at all. That's I'd be more up in arms about that if I paid money for that. But I don't get the commercial. I don't get it at all. I get the knocking down the lady. I guess that's frowned upon, as it should be, I guess. But it wasn't overly violent, and she was smiling on the ground.
Yeah. And then another person. Now it turns out the woman that got knocked over, Alexis Mistowski. She's an LPGA golfer, right? And then the person who knocked her down was Garrett Clark. He's a YouTube creator. So, and this good golf thing is they create YouTube videos. They got like 2 million followers, right? So, which is a few more than what we have. So I get it. So anything they say gets amplified, right? But right. The overall theme is. What? I don't get the second guy going over there, because that wasn't the guy who originally pushed the girl down. That was somebody else. So was he grabbing that guy's golf club? But then the other guy, the whole thing was stupid, right? All right, so they knocked it. So let's go to the real thing. The real thing, they're all upset. They're up in arms because the female got knocked to the ground. Listen, Would I have approved that? Does it bother me? No, right? But I do wonder, like, how did that ever get approved? Because I can't help but think somebody at Good or Callaway who has is in the approval process has got to say, listen, what do you think, guys? Should we really be knocking a woman down to the ground? I mean, I know it's no big deal. I know it's golf, but I mean, you would think somebody would have created a conversation. And then I guess he got talked down and they said, yeah, go ahead and run it. Like, or did they just say, yeah, whatever, just go ahead and run it, right? What's the big deal, right? I mean, she didn't get punched in the face, for goodness sakes. I mean, if it was something like that, okay, could they have used the guy, and push him to the ground? I suppose, but they're trying to incorporate the females. The female golfer, it's increased over 45%, according to the National Golf Foundation. I looked it up between 2020 and 2025. So females are golfing more. So I guess they wanted to put some females into the equation. Is it smart? No, probably not. But is it worth this craziness on Twitter and people yelling and screaming, apparently, where both companies got to offer an apology? I would love, I really would, just give me one stinking time, just one time where a company says, you know what, too bad, deal with it. I got women in a boxing ring beating the hell out of each other. No one's complaining about that. I got women in an MMA ring pulling each other's hair out, punching themselves senseless, and no one's complaining about that. But you're going to complain about me knocking a female down on the ground and she's smiling like it's really that big a deal in a phony thing? The other two are real. The MMA and the boxing, they're beating the hell out of each other. This is just a TV commercial. And you're going to get upset about this? And you're not going to protest the other stuff? I just like to have Callaway just say, you know what, too bad. It's a funny commercial. It's not very good. You're probably not going to buy my golf club, and you're probably not going to understand the commercial. I get that. But you know what? Too bad. Just too bad. How many people are really complaining about this? I bet the people that are complaining are the same ones that are, rooting on transgender kids to play in the WNBA or not play in the WNBA, however you want to look at it. They probably never picked up a golf club in their life. They just see something and they say, oh my God, that's controversial. I'm going to, make a comment about it. So, yeah, it just would be nice. It's amazing. When I was working over at the 3-Letter Network, you'd have issues with people on Twitter, and it's like, I always told them, like, how many, he's got 5 followers. You're going to dictate your programming based on a guy who's got 5 followers. What do you care? Just say too bad. Tough. What's he going to do? Cancel a subscription? Great. It's a $6 a month subscription. I think the 3-Letter Network can survive without $72 a year, a multi-billion-dollar operation. Instead, you're going to get some nitwit on Twitter who's got 5 followers to dictate what you're going to do programming-wise. It's amazing. Same thing here. I bet I don't see people on Twitter, and I live on Twitter now. I don't see people complaining about this. The only time I saw it was when Callaway sent out their statement apologizing. Otherwise, who cares? But you're never going to get it. The minority, and I don't mean blacks, but the minority in views continues to dictate what everyone else has to deal with. It really is amazing. I bet there are more people laughing about that. I bet there are more women laughing about that. Someone said they tried to tie in the, women can't drive, hence the driver. It's like, no, it's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's a female about to use a guy's driver. It could have been a putter. It could have been a 5-wood. It could have been anything. I don't think the driving stereotype has anything to do with that. People just look for things. They just look for things. It's amazing. But again, I would have just loved Callaway. Just have some balls. Just say too bad. You know what? Deal with it. But you're never going to get that. Unfortunately, you're never going to get that. Here's the latest golf thing, too. More on golf. The PGA, they did it again. That they fall into the same trap a little bit like NASCAR. So they're changing their rules again. So their CEO, and I didn't even realize the PGA Tour had a CEO, to tell you the truth, but Brian Rolap sends out a tweet today. Our PGA Tour Championship Series finale will award now this is what's going to happen. They're changing the rules. They don't like the new format, which they just changed a couple of years ago, so they're going to change them again. So it's going to be a two-pronged thing. He says, our PGA Tour Championship Series finale will award a trophy to the points leader in the season-long standings. Earning that top spot will be proof of an unassailable great season and arguably defining the player as the best player in the world. So you're going to accumulate points as you do now, but now the top 70 guys get put in a playoff, and then it gets down to top 50, then it gets put down to top 30, which will be next week. And then whoever wins that is the championship winner, right? So now they're just, I guess, going to forget all about all that and just have a season-long points thing. So theoretically, a guy could have it clinched in August, which is what they want to avoid. But that could happen. So that's one. From there, they're going to have the Battle of their Tour Champions, which is the second thing. Right now, it's kind of like the FedEx Cup, and that's your champion, although you could have a different golfer of the year. They're going to have your championship series winner for the entire season. Then they're going to have their playoffs. Across the 2-week match play competition, the season's best will compete to earn the title of tour champion. New format, blah, 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 blah. Most difficult trophy to win. The ultimate finish to the PGA Tour season. Today marks another step forward as we continue to build the future of the PGA Tour, blah, 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 right? So I guess how it's going to work is they're going to take the top 32 players from the season's points standings, split them into 8 groups of 4 for a 3-round round-robin head-to-head to decide a playoff. Week 2 will be match play brackets. The top 16 players advance to the 4 single elimination round brackets to crown the tour champion. So you're going to be playing, I guess, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 1 round apiece, I imagine. The goal, as Brian Rolap stated, to make the thing more clear and more exciting. Listen. It doesn't make it more clear. Right. That's one thing. What golf has to accept, and NASCAR too, throw them both in here, is you're not the NFL. You're not the Major League Baseball. You're not the NHL, and you're not the NBA. You're just not, right? You have all these great tournaments throughout the season. You have your 4 majors. You have some other signature events. You have different cups where you're challenging European Cup, this cup, that cup, right? With the golfers overseas. And that's what it is. That's what it is. You can vote at the end of the year on who you think the best player is, and he can win the Players' Champion, the Golfer of the Year award. Just like they do with the Heisman Trophy and MVP of other sports. And that's that. That's that. You don't need some goofy playoff system, which nobody can figure out, which changes every 2-3 years because it sucks. The new format you come up with doesn't work. It doesn't catch on. It's too confusing. It's just too confusing. And then you're going to add on another one, like they do now. They kind of do it now anyway with the FedEx champion, right? That's your champion, but that doesn't necessarily make him the golfer of the year. That's voted on separately. So now they want to have the champion, but then they want to crown another champion. Well, why don't you just crown the points leader at the end of the year a champion? There you go. Bingo. Boom. Golf is just not set up for a playoff format. Probably the greatest golfer of our lifetime, outside of me, Tiger Woods, was awful in head-to-head play. Listen, you give me a couple of weeks and I'll break par. Any of these courses, right? No worries, no wives, no kids, no job. You give me great clubs, great balls. You give me 2 weeks, I'll break par. Tiger Woods was awful head to head for whatever reason. I don't know why. You would think he would be the best, right? Not only is he a good golfer, but who wants to go head-to-head with Tiger Woods? People would wilt, in the final round whenever that occurred. But you look at his head-to-head record. It wasn't good. So now you're going to, have your points leader, the real best player that year, get thrown into this mixed. And then it's going to go over 2 weeks. It's too confusing. You have to make things simple. It's as simple as that. When you start adding layers to crowning a champion, it just gets too confusing. It's not going to, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And probably the biggest problem is, when is this going to occur, Scott? It's going to occur September, where you have NFL and college football. You could have women playing naked, right? You could have Paige Spiranek playing naked, right? 5 of them, 10 of them, 50 of them, and it still wouldn't get any notice in September. And MLB playoffs don't get any notice. We talk about that all the time. No one's going to pay attention to this stuff. So it's too confusing, and it's happening at the worst time. You can't change anything about the timing of it. I get that. It's the end of the summer. That's when you want to have it. But you're better off not having anything. You really are. It's just, you're going to have a group stage, which is 4 golfers playing together. Then you're going to have match play. Nobody cares. Take the 4. You want to do something. Forget 32. You don't need 32. Forget 2 weeks. You don't need 2 weeks. You take the top 12 golfers, right? Give 4 a bye. You take the next 8. You match them off. Then you're down to 8, and you go from there. And then you have one round of golf, maybe 2 rounds of golf, Saturday and Sunday. You could do that other stuff Thursday, Friday. Saturday and Sunday, you got 2 rounds of golf. You got 8 golfers. Best golfer wins after the 2 rounds. That's what you got to keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. It's the oldest system in the world, the old KISS system, right? Keep it simple, stupid. The more, it's like trends. The more layers to that trend, the worse it becomes. And the more layers to these tournaments that NASCAR and PGA, I get why they want to do it, but it's not. It's like I said, you're not having a best of 7. Just enjoy what you bring to the table. Enjoy that you can have a champion without the playoffs and without all that other nonsense that the other teams and leagues have. It's just not set up. You've had years and years and years to come up with something that the American public will grab hold of, and it just hasn't. That's why they keep changing it. Nobody cares. It's just, you're a victim of the time. You're better off having another major. Do what tennis does, right? The last weekend they could probably get in before the NFL starts, they have the U.S. Open. And then they realize once the NFL starts, that's it. We're done. Shutting it down because no one's going to be paying attention. So PGA should throw another major at us, late August, mid-August, and say, this is it, And then if you want to have the Ryder Cup or something goofy like that, which I hate, but if you want to have that in September, then, have all those other President's Cup, have all those things in September if you want. Throw, the red, white, and blue around it, and maybe people will watch. But otherwise, it's silly. It's just, this is not going to work. So you tried, and you failed again. See, PGA. Simple as that. All right, quick little break. Hour number 2 coming up next. We got some WNBA stuff. We got some winners to pick out for later on tonight. New York Liberty in the news. How about the little memory lane with our guy Mike Leach, and then our Sophie Cunningham shot, which just kind of opens the door. It's been a little open, but just kind of opens the door. Let's see if you notice with this picture I'm going to show you of the first thing that popped out for me. Pardon the pun. So all that's coming up. Hour number 2, Scott Wetzel Show, right here at FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there. Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the JP Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza on this Tuesday afternoon. Scott Wetzel sitting in until 4 p.m. Eastern time, as we do every day, although I won't tomorrow, actually. I got to go to a funeral. My aunt died over the weekend, so lived a long life. I don't know if she was 90, but 80, 85 in that area. Pretty good life. Which is always easy to say, when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. But, who wants to say that when you're like late 70s that you want to live to like 80? 30 years from now, okay, I'll take 80, 85, absolutely, right? But then when you get, like I said, 80, then all of a sudden your attitude changes. So anyway, I haven't seen her in a while. She had been sick, so it's probably more a blessing in disguise, one of those things. But so no show tomorrow. We'll be back Thursday and Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on FanStream Sports. Got some Twitter followers. Always go ahead and follow a tweet at Opposite Picks. That's OPPOSITE Picks, PICKS. No Opposite Picks, by the way, this week. There's not enough games. We will start it, though, the following week, which is always a lot of fun. So Serene Heavenly following us, which is okay. Not bad for Serene. Big Donut now following us as well. So feel free, and I'll throw you a free little pop-up there if you want to follow me on Twitter. Same thing with the YouTube chat. Feel free chiming in. Go to the Scott Wetzel Show on YouTube, as most of you are, and hit that subscribe and like button, and fire away. As our good buddy Timmy up in Pittsburgh, one of the LWs for sure. So the WNBA will take a 2-week break between the end of the regular season and postseason for FIBA. Yeah, I saw that, Tim. But boy, how stupid is that? That really, out of all the dumb things, you want to do it in a regular season like the NHL does for the Olympics, okay. But to stop at the end of the regular season, not the middle or the beginning, at the end, and then pick things up a couple of weeks later, that's just, again, just like with golf, except the fact that, you know what, ladies, you're not playing. You're not playing. Simple as that. You want to play for your team, you got a contract, you're making money, or you're going to play for FIBA, USA. It's simple as that. You just, sorry. No big deal, but we're not shutting our league down so we can get further into the NFL season? So we can get buried even further by college football and the NFL? If you're going to do that, then you know what? All right, say the league only goes 30 games instead of the 40, what do they go, 42 now, I think it is. We're going to cut our league short this season. We're going to start it earlier. We're going to, God forbid, have more back-to-back games. We're going to condense our 40 season schedule into 2 months rather than 2.5, 3 months. Simple as that. Ladies, if you want to play over this thing, then you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere along the line. And it's not that difficult, right? You don't have to have road trips between games. You could have back-to-back home games. It really is not that hard. But instead, they're going to postpone their season and then pick it up again 2-3 weeks later. Again, right in the middle of the NFL season. You talk about just doing dopey things. I got to tell you, this WNBA is really taking the cake. They really are. So, speaking of the WNBA, we had Enes Kanter, the situation the other day, getting kicked out of the Indiana Fever game. So he was on Fox yesterday, and I don't know if it's double down, triple down, quadruple down, but he says, put me in, coach.
Do you actually think the WNBA, sources were telling various media outlets today that they've essentially decided you and Royce cannot play in the WNBA. You will not be eligible. And they're going to say something about the publicity stunt. You're not really a trans woman. Are you a trans woman? Are you a trans woman?
Listen. Section 13, right? Article 13, Section 1 says if you identify as a woman, then you're allowed to play.
So you're identifying as a woman tonight?
I identify as a woman, sure, yes. So I can play.
But they're never going to let you play.
Why not? I mean, that's the rule that they put. I'm just following the rules. If they ever come out and say, okay, we are changing the rules, I respect the decision, and I will follow the rules. But right now, if you identify as a woman, you're allowed to play. And I am identified as a woman, and I am actually allowed to play.
You said Sophie Cunningham.
Simple as that. I mean, like we said it yesterday, right? He's identifying himself as a transgender person, right? Do you need a sex change? No. Do you need breast implants? No. Do you need your pecker taken away? Adding a vagina? No. Do you need chromosome shots? No. Do you need to legally even change your name? No. You don't need to do anything except wake up on the wrong side of the bed and say, you know what? I'm going to be a woman today. I may change my mind and go back to being a man tomorrow, but today I'm a woman. That's all it takes. That's how stupid this transgender crap is. You're a phony. You're complete. I have more respect for gay people and people that have sex changes and all that other stuff because at least they're making a stand. They're actually doing it. The transgender person's not. He's a phony. He's a fraud, or she's a phony. She's a fraud. She just wants to, or he just wants to, be a transdresser. That's all. Wants to dress in women's clothes. That's all it takes. And that's how stupid it is. And that's how easy it is for the WNBA just say to know them. No, we're not taking transgender people because you don't have to do anything to be transgender. You're still physically a man. So, then he said he texted Sophie Cunningham after the game. Said, please focus on your game because you're a national treasure. She is an American hero and should be protected at all costs. She's not only inspiring girls in America, but all over the world. She's an idol. It's funny, as I sent out on Twitter, she's all this stuff all over the world except here in the WNBA. The league that she actually plays in is the one league where she's not all these good things, which is just absolutely crazy. So Royce White's attorney says he's going to sue. And I said this yesterday, expect a lawsuit, right? I mean, it's in your bylaws. If transgender people are allowed, right? I don't know how you could keep them out because you don't think they're serious, because you thinking they're making a mockery of your rules. Well, you know what? Too bad. They probably are, but who's to say? You can't pick and choose who's a real, confused person and thinks he's a woman. You don't have that right to say, okay, we believe you, but we don't believe you. So they'll win their court case in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. And what would have to happen is the WNBA would say, okay, transgender people aren't allowed. And that's all it takes. I wish America would open their eyes to that. A transgender person is not someone who's had chromosome shots or have any other kind of surgery. Nothing. You don't even have to change your name. Again, literally, it's not an exaggeration. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you just say, I'm a woman. And that's it. That's all transgender is. So it shouldn't be that difficult for companies and leagues to say, no, listen, if you're in the middle of a sex change and you're taking chromosome shots and you're taking your pecker off and all this other stuff, all right, you know what? Then we'll buy your story. But if you're just saying you're a woman because you want to say you're a woman, no, that shouldn't be that difficult for these leagues to say no to that, or these sports, right? And if not, they'll get sued and they will lose. There's no two ways about it. They will lose. And I'll tell you that the WNBA is in danger of just crashing. It really is in danger. They're a freak show. We know that, right? I told you about all, the owners are lesbian, the fans are lesbian, the players are lesbian. There's a majority of that community, right? It's a freak show. And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad thing. Look up freak. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But it's not going to withstand all the pressure of trying to be normal. It's just not. So if you want to be a freak show and you're going to allow, the transgender people in, you're going to have 20 guys. No doubt you will come up with easily 20 guys. It'll run the league over and the league will have to shut down. It will, because then no one will watch it and they'll know it's a farce. And that'll be the end of that. It really, all these players will go find, jobs overseas. They'll go in other countries where they can play, and that'll be the end of the WNBA. And it's pretty sad. It really is. So, and then you got, Royce White. He's saying that his legal counsel, Matt Gaetz, said the WNBA should preserve all records in anticipation of litigation. Royce White saying, as a black trans lesbian, interesting, he says he's a lesbian, right? That's what I've been telling you. Ask these guys, if you really think you're a woman, right? Then are you attracted to guys? And automatically their answer, whether it's Bruce Jenner or, Royce White, no, I'm a lesbian. Oh, so you still like, you don't want to go that far and admit that you like guys, right? I don't want to do that. I'm trying to make a point here, Scott, but I'm not trying to make that kind of point. So I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a lady lesbian. That's it. So I still like women, just like as I told you with Bruce Jenner, right? So he says, as a black trans lesbian, the rumors of denial for my multi-spirit existence are concerning. I'd like to remind everyone that there's a trans genocide taking place right now in America. These kind of casual comments lead to violence and our deaths. To tell a black trans woman, meaning him, that she's not a woman or that the trans experience is a stunt is a transphobic, bigoted, and racist. Yep, he's 100% right. 100% right. WNBA may be 100% true. Don't doubt this for a second. But you don't have that right, league, to say who's in and who's out. You just don't. Just change the stupid rules. What is the big freaking deal? I mean, it's crazy. It really is crazy. So I'm telling you, 2 years from now, the WNBA might not be around. New York Liberty, right? They blocked the pro women's sport. This is how freakish this league is. That this is like, they blocked a pro women's sports message. They put messages, on the billboard, like the kiss cam and all that other stuff. So someone wanted to buy a message. I don't know how much they pay, how much they charge. That would be pro women's, meaning no transgender people, right? They rejected that. But they allowed, hey, trans fans, glad you're here. They allowed that message. They want to line themselves up with the freaks, but they won't allow the message of pro women's sports, not allowing transgender people in. Yeah, it's just nuts. You just missed the old days, right? You just missed the good old days, as Archie Bunker and Edith Bunker sang it All in the Family, greatest TV show of all time. Those were the days, right? When the Mike Leaches of the world, how funny was he? God rest his soul, right? Remember the clip when they asked him about marriage? Someone was getting married, some family member or some reporter, I think, was getting married, and they asked good old Mike, former Texas Tech, Washington State head coach as well, his thoughts on getting married. This is the good old days.
The women lose their mind. Your fiance is going to lose her mind. Your mother-in-law is going to lose her mind. Your mom is going to lose her mind. Several of your sisters and female relatives are going to lose their mind. And they're going to barrage you with constant questions. What should we wear? And then, which of course my answer was, I don't care. And then, what color should the invitations be? I don't care. What should we have for dessert? I don't care. Should we seat this way or that way? I don't care. But see, I don't care is not satisfactory at all. And you're going to get caught in catch-22, and I'm certain that you already have. And then catch-22 is, well, I want you to be a part of this too. So what color invitations? All right, the blue ones. Well, I kind of like the tan ones. Okay, the tan ones then. Oh, you're just saying that because you want this only. You're not even thinking about it, which is of course true. What do you want for dessert? I was thinking of strawberry shortcake. Oh, okay. Yeah, strawberry shortcake would be good. Well, what about the blueberry pie? Well, I like the blueberry pie. We could have the blueberry pie. Well, I thought you said you wanted the strawberry shortcake. And it's just going to go back and forth, and they're going to play keep away from you until after you're married. There's no answer you can give that is going to be satisfactory or correct. And if you successfully please a few of them, the others will still be, well, I just don't feel like he's that interested. Yeah, okay, so you need to work late. Go in the back room and read a lot of books. Take the groomsmen out so you make sure that they march in just right and they know exactly, these swell outfits that you picked out or whatever, however you're doing it. And then in the end, you'll wish you elope. You need to find excuses that they'll buy to be as far out of harm's way as you possibly can.
Oh, how great is that? How great is that, right? I mean, everything he said there, I think, I know I've lived every single one of them, just down to a T, just down to an absolute T, right? He was funny. He really was funny. I don't know how that guy ever went into an interview and not got the job, right? Just unless he's, maybe talking to a female AD, right? But otherwise, well, what's your strategy on offense, coach? Well, all women are nuts. Oh, okay. Well, what's your strategy on defense? Well, all women are a pain in the ass. And he would go off into his routine. How could you not say, okay, you're hired, right? That is funny. The good old days. But fortunately, we do have some things these days that are pretty good, and that would be one Sophie Cunningham. That's the picture. Do you notice what I notice? It's becoming a new thing now with these women, right? Just take a real close. It's amazing. Sometimes her boobs look pretty big. Those look halfway decent. Other times they looks like she's flatter than flat. But her shorts, we'll just say, just a little tight around the edges, if you know what I mean. That's like the new thing with women. They have no qualms whatsoever showing off every nook and cranny of their body. And that's that. Even good old Sophie, they just, whatever, there it is. Go take a peek if you want to. Knock yourself out. They think just because things are covered up by clothing that, we can't really see. I mean, we see it all. It's all there. It's all there to see. It is amazing. So, God bless Sophie. Definitely. How about a little true or AI? Did you see this yesterday? How goofy is this? It runs a little long. I won't let it run the whole length here. But guys doing WABI, wherever the fudge that is, if it's even anything, doing a weather report and can't stop laughing.
And a few of these showers and storms popping up mostly across the north and west, resulting in the chance for heavier precipitation and some storms in some spots. We got to shut this weather right now.
What?
You know, 70s, low 80s.
And they keep the camera on him. Where the guy is obviously having a hysterical laughter fit. He's squealing like a pig on Deliverance. I mean... The whole it goes on for like another minute. Like they kept on going to the weather. In fact, they flipped back to the anchor and then went back to this guy who's having this hysterical laughing fit, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that can't be true. That's sometimes we have some that are true. Sometimes we have some that aren't true. Like that can't be right. So no, it's actually true. It's a TV It's a TV news operation out of Maine, Bangor, Maine. And the guy actually came on today and like explained it all. If you were watching on Twitter today, apparently he was having, I thought somebody was like having sex or something on the side. If this was true and he just was like laughing or something goofy like that, right? But I was so kind of like disgusted with it that he was proud of this moment, which is embarrassingly stupid, that I didn't like follow the whole story. But I guess there was some running joke before he got on the air. And it led to someone pretending to be, remember on Charlie Brown where they talked to the teacher and the teacher, you can't really hear the teacher, like wah, 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 one of those type of things. Well, someone apparently got a soundtrack of that and played that while he was on the air. And that reminded him of the joke and he couldn't stop himself from laughing. So, yeah, I mean, that's never really happened to me. If you're on the air long enough, you say and do stupid things, you hiccup or something like that, or, whatever the case may be. But what was weird about it is they didn't break away from him. I mean, the guy is clearly losing it, right? You would think somebody in that director's booth would say, all right, either cut to a commercial. This guy's either, who the hell do? I thought he was dying, for goodness sake. I thought he was having like a stroke. Remember, we've seen clips of guys have strokes on the air. That's what I thought it was. And these nitwits are sticking with him. The poor guy is begging, get me off the air. He goes off screen later on and he comes back on again. He's still laughing. And they're still keeping it on him. But I guess it gave him a whole lot of publicity to the point he had to come on Twitter today or on the newscast anyway and not really apologize, but just explain what happened. This is their WABI is getting their 15 minutes of fame. It's amazing. Everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame somewhere along the line. And this guy having, a laughing fit, literally, over, I don't know, compose yourself, dude. It's really not that, funny, not that big a deal, but it is true. It certainly is, it was a true story. So, all right, quick little break. Back to the baseball board. A manager, is he going to get fired or not? He makes the call. We'll explain a little bit, I guess, what happened with the Houston Astros situation, which we told you yesterday was a little bit more than meets the eye. Apparently it was. We'll pick our winners for later on tonight. We'll do 3 baseball plays. We'll go over some office pools. I started some office pools. If you guys want to join, we'll get into that as well. So hour number 2, we are halfway through. Approaching 3:30 Eastern time right here on FanStreamSports.com, FanStreamSports.com.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream, fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com, FanStreamSports.com, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Give out some winners here in a couple of minutes. A couple of updates here. One, Jamar Chase just went down to an injury. Listen, I don't know how people do this. I'm not that familiar with Twitter, right? So I saw it on a 4-letter network retweet. But it's really it's not, Adam Schefter. And I told you these guys just go to their local source and steal stories. So this guy, Yanni Trigelis, is there at the Bengals camp. And Jamar just went out for a pass. I see the highlight of it. He sent it out and stolen by everybody else, like I said. And he went down. So he did get up. limped off the field, had to be helped off the field, apparently was walking around a little bit and is apparently okay. But man, this Bengals team, this Bengals team man, they're just stricken with injuries, whether it's Joey B or whether it's Chase or whoever. It just seems like there's always one main guy every single year. If they could just ever stay healthy, they could win a Super Bowl. They really can. So, before you put it, and again, this is why you don't put future bets in until, next week, right? I mean, it's just a simple little pass play. He just kind of landed awkwardly. He was reaching back and he kind of twisted his ankle or his knee. So hopefully he's okay. I think Dolly Parton died. I'd read where she had been sick. But there's a message from Dolly Parton's Twitter feed from her son.
Yes, it's confirmed she passed away.
She did. Yeah, I never hate to bring that stuff up unless it's really, really true. So wow, one of the kings of everything. She was known for a lot of things. Let's leave it at that. A lot of things, right? So that's sad. But she was up there in age. So again, when you're in your 80s, you don't really say 85 is pretty good. But, from when you're in the 40s and 50s and 60s, 85 is pretty good. There's another case. So unfortunately, Dolly Parton passing away. So, so I started the 3 office pools, right? So it's getting down to crunch time. You still got time to get in these things, but you need to kind of make your decisions, right? I budget myself about $1,000 for all the things I get into. So I started 3 pools. I got a $25 pool, I got a $50 pool, and I got a $100 pool. The $100 pool is an against the spread pool. So just instead of picking winners, you got to pick against the spread winners, right? So a little more challenging. So I got to, I generally get 2 entries in each one of the pools. So there's $350 right there. I'm in the Mark Lawrence pool. That's $200. Now I'm up to $550. And then I got, I joined a podcast pool members pool. That's $150 every single year. So now I'm up to $700. I'm in a fantasy league. I only do one. It's with the podcast crew. So that's another $150. So now I'm up to $850. So I got room for one more pool. So if any of you guys out there, if you run a pool, it's got to be different though. It's like the podcast person's pool is an against the spread pool, but it uses like 6, 7, 8 college football games and then 6, 7, 8 NFL games, which is pretty cool. They have weekly prizes and then season-long prizes. So I like that. The Mark Lawrence one is basically best bets. We pick 2 picks each week. So that kind of eliminates going 5-3 or 7-3, whatever it would be, and then not winning anything. So but that's not a week to week thing. That's an accumulation thing. So that's good. Fantasy league is the fantasy league. I'm not big in fantasy. I just assume bet, but we do it on the podcast, so why not? So we're going to do that. So I got I don't know what else kind of pool you could come up with. But if anyone else has any goofy pools and you need one more player, let me know. I would be interested. And those are the 3. So you got to start getting in these things now, right? Some lock up, some guys, do it and they have a limit. I generally, we usually have around 150 or so in each one of our pools. Some a little bit more. One of them or 2 of them are double elimination pools. Our $100 one is a double elimination. So is the $50 one. 25 is straight, one shot at it, boom, because that's the one we get the most of. So, I'm always looking for new and creative pools. So, but now's the time. You got you don't include this weekend probably, but starting next weekend. So about a week and a half. I probably will get, I'd say 80%, and everybody does the same thing. From next Friday and next Sunday morning. That's when we got a lot already, but that's when everyone decide last second, 5 minutes before kickoff, I get emails, Scott, can I join the pool? It's like, no, dude, man, come on. You've had 2 months. I set this thing up in August. You've had maybe not 2 months, but you've had at least 4 weeks to join, and you're going to wait until there's 4 minutes before the opening kickoff. I mean, really? Friday too, the next week will go by. And then at the end of the week, they sit down and then they start figuring out that I get that I fully understand. But it's the Sunday thing with any pool, no matter what pool it is. an hour or so before the deadline, that's when all the entries come in. And people always ask, well, how many people do you have in the pool? How many do you have in the pool? I said, you know what? I almost don't want to tell them because it's so small, but I know it's going to, tenfold by the time opening kickoff is. So, yeah, so anyway, those are the pools I'm in so far. Like I said, I budget about $1,000, which is a pretty decent amount for me. That's in addition to all the wagering we do, during the week on these games. This is all separate stuff, but there's generally a limit, right? That's why I look for different ones, because otherwise you're just joining. If you're just going to join another survivor pool, then you might well just have 5 entries in one versus 1 entry in 5 different ones. Well, if you're just picking the same team, I mean, how many pools do you think you're really going to win? I mean, you talk about being greedy. I'll take winning 1 pool. I don't need 5 different pools that I'm going to win, right? Realistically. So it's got to be a little different, but it should be a lot of fun this season. Baseball. So yesterday, the Astros announced that the GM is being fired, entering the last year of his contract. The manager, though, Joe Espada, is not being fired, at least not yet. Turns out both are in the last year of their contracts. They asked the manager, Espada, do you want to stay on until the end of the year? He said yes. I'm guessing they did the same thing with the GM, and the GM said no. And why would that be? Well, if someone told me, listen, we're not going to renew your contract, but I'm in first place, albeit with a 500 or so record, right? I think the first thing I would say is, well, what if we win the World Series? Or what would it take for you to change your mind and give me a new contract? And the person said, well, anything short of a World Series, we're moving on. We can't fire you if you win the World Series. I mean, how bad would that look? But you know what? If you got to the World Series, the AL is so bad that, you might, but it's not really anything you guys have done. It's just a process of elimination, battle of attrition. So we're not going to give you credit for that. But if you win the World Series, then we'll give you a new contract. And I got a feeling the GM said, well, I don't like those odds because we're probably not winning the World Series. We might get there, but if you're 100%, you would not rehire me. Nope. So he probably said, all right, then I might as well quit now and get a head jump on all the other jobs that will be opening up. Why wait till the end of the season? Why wait for my team to get into the playoffs? I can't do any interviewing. I can't look around. I can't, go to different functions and look for jobs. I can't do any of that stuff while I'm still GM, obviously, of the Astros. And if I'm dead man walking, what's the point? I got a feeling that's what happened. Espada, the manager, I think he would get a little bit more credit for making the playoffs, even with a 500 record. I think if he got, through a round or two, maybe made the American League Championship Series and they fire him, I think he'd get some sympathy. He'd get a lot of publicity, right? You're in the playoffs, you're winning some games, you're winning some series. It does make more sense probably for him to stick around. I would never walk away. I would just say, all right, I'll take my chances then. I just will. That's why I have agents, and I'm surprised the GM didn't say that. Just, all right, you know what, I'll stick around, but I'm going to tell my agent to go shopping around because I know I'm going to get fired and let the agent do the dirty work. So, but Espada apparently, it's weird how they would do that, right? Why would they tell a guy now, give him the option when you're going to move away from him? Why not just fire him then? Maybe you give your team a little bit of a spark. We've seen that happen many times. Philadelphia Phillies, the latest team. Hell, even the New York Mets now are playing much better baseball. Red Sox playing much better baseball. Whether that has anything to do with the manager changing, don't know. But bottom line is when these teams make changes, it does provide a little bit of a spark. So if you're the Astros, and you don't think the team is doing well, hence you're firing the manager, well, why not just fire him and take the chance to change, has an impact with your club? That's kind of weird. Unless they're afraid that the new guy would take them to the World Series and then they would be locked in with him and they have, they want to go outside of the organization. But what's the worst that can happen? You go to the World Series. I mean, that's a nice issue to have. So that's kind of what's. How do the Astros react to that? Right? They just lose 6 out of 9 at home. They finished up a 9-game homestand over the weekend. They had 3 losing teams. They had the A's, the Angels, and the Mariners. And they only went 3-6. So you know they're reeling. Now you have the GM get fired. And now you have the manager be told he's being fired. So, the Astros are at that proverbial, fork in the road. They could obviously do one of 2 things. They could take all that and just be so depressed. Team has quit on us. Ownership has quit on us. They're firing our manager. We like the dude. They're firing the GM. We like him. Actually, the Astros are a half a game back in Texas now. We like him. He's the guy that brought us in here. And, if they're going to be gone, what does that tell them about us? We're probably going to be fired in essence as well. They could go that road, or they could go the other road and say, you know what? We like the manager. We're going to do our best to make sure he gets the job back. We cared about the GM, and we're going to win because we know we're his guys, and we know that's going to help his resume if we win the World Series or get to the World Series. And we don't like ownership, and we don't think it's fair. It's not right. It's not this. It's not that. And use it as a source of motivation. So, knowing the team is 1 game under 500, it literally could go either. You'd have to be in that locker room, but I'm guessing it's going to be the first option. I'm guessing they're not going to use this as a source of motivation. They're not worried about the coach. They're not worried about the GM. They're worried about their own jobs. And now they're just like so gut punch. I mean, we're in first place and we're getting our manager and GM fired. And they've struggled all year for the most part, outside of one stretch, one like 3-week stretch in August, late July to mid-August. Other than that, it's been a disaster season for them. I think they go the other way. I do. Normally, I like to play on teams, the coaches fired system, managers fired system, but I don't see it with this team. I really don't. When stuff like that happens, the Astros would have been much better off just firing both of them, just cutting the cord and just saying, nope, not happening this year, versus all this up in the air stuff. So it's that leads a weirdness in your locker room. So I don't like that. Really don't. Baseball board today, we need to find 3 winners. We always check WNBA. We don't play them all the time, but what do we got? WNBA, we got 3 games. Chicago and Connecticut, don't worry about it. Dallas laying 8.5 against the Fire. Dallas at home, that's a consideration. Mystics laying 2.5 at Phoenix is not a bad little look. Washington was playing great ball. Then they played the big boys and they lost. Now they're taking out a lousy 13-24 Phoenix Mercury team that is basically done. Hard not to like Washington, so let's fall for it. Give me the Washington Mystics, laying 2.5 only on the road at Phoenix. That'll be play number 1. Other 2 will be in Major League Baseball. Let's go to the baseball page here, see what we have for us. Not in love with these matchups, I must say, but I'll scroll all the way down, and I'm going to take the San Diego Padres. We played them yesterday. They lost, tied the game in the bottom of the 9th inning. They lost in extra innings 3-2. Right back on the Padres with Michael King on the hill, laying $120 against the Pittsburgh Pirates and Paul Skeens. And there aren't many times that I would ever say go against Paul Skeens, but this year, much different. Let me write this stuff down versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 4-12 in Skeens' last 16 starts. 4-12. Started off the season great. They ended up winning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his first 9 starts. So it looked like it was going to be a typical Paul Skeens year, right? April 24th, he throws 7 shutout innings against the Brewers. Like I said, the team at that point, had won 4 of his first 6 starts, and the runs he allowed up until that point, he allowed 5 opening day in that weird game. But boy, was that a precursor to what was to come? Remember, he allowed 5 runs against the Mets, couldn't get out of the first inning. But then after that, 1 run, 1 run, 1 run, no runs, no runs, 3 runs, no runs, no runs. So, it was going to be a Paul Skeens year, right? Boy, from that point on, just downhill. Just absolutely, like I said, 4-12. Not necessarily all his fault. There are some games thrown in there, but enough where I'm not going to bet on him. And now at this point, I'll bet against him. So Pittsburgh did find a way to win last night. I don't think they win 2. So give me San Diego, which does not strike out a lot. That's one thing also. They're one of the fewer strikeout teams in Major League Baseball. So don't expect a lot of strikeouts from Skeens, which means a lot of pitches. So yeah, I'll take San Diego. I saw the Phillies had their 10-game winning streak snapped yesterday by Seattle. Aaron Nola's on the hill for the Phils. He's one of our favorite whipping boys. Has pitched a little better since coming off the disabled list, I must say. In his 4 starts since coming off the DL, 5 starts, last 5 starts, he's allowed 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. That's pretty good. So normally I would say play against them, but I won't do that. I actually like the Mariners, but I can't bet against a team that won 10 in a row. You can't do that, right? Our third play today will be Arizona instead. Don't quite get this line. Cubbies did win yesterday. Arizona playing, they were playing halfway decent ball. They're scuffling just a little. They're 3-8. Or 3-5 rather, the last 8 games. Losing last night 7-0, but they got Brandon Pfaadt on the hill later on tonight. So big pitching edge, for the Diamondbacks, who I liked in the series. Clay Holmes is on the hill for the Cubbies. He sucks. Pfaadt is 7-1, ERA just over 3. So do like the Diamondbacks tonight. So let's grab Arizona. What I say the line was. Right around even. So we'll call it even, plus 101. So Washington Mystics. Let me write this down. Arizona. Even versus Cubs. So we got the Washington Mystics plus or minus 2.5 against Phoenix. We have San Diego minus 120 against Pittsburgh, and then we have Arizona even against the Chicago Cubs. So let's get some winners later on tonight. Back to the board, our little Twitter, YouTube chat here. Our guy, let's start at the top here, I suppose. Let me scroll up oops, I scrolled too far. What did I do? I hit something here, Tim. Let me go to comments. Right, there you go. Yeah. Still learning this stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Who's that? Not Big Ant, but Answer. Watson starts first 2 games on road, stinks. Sanders starts next 3 at home. I don't think I meant to do that, so I'm glad you brought that up. Let me check the Browns' schedule and see where realistically I think he'll get more than 2 games. It's funny they're not starting Sanders. They announced today they're going to go with Dylan Gabriel. Now, I'm expecting Sanders to play some, but Gabriel will actually get the start this weekend. So they don't. I think they realize that Sanders might do well, and that would make the decision look stupid.
They announced earlier they're going to start Dylan Gabriel, and then Taylon Green will also play. So I don't know if
no Shador. So no Sanders at all then.
Yeah.
Wow. When teams are, indecisive on things or want to protect their decisions, that's what they do. When you have the conviction of, yep, he's our guy. Watson's our guy. So Shador go play if you want to, but, doesn't matter. You only do things like that to make sure that Sanders doesn't do well. And he played well this last weekend. Much better than Watson. So I saw where it was going to be Gabriel, so it's going to be Green, the backup that they got from Arkansas, 6th round. Interesting. All right, so their schedule is at Jacksonville, at Tampa Bay. Then they come home. I don't think if they lost those 2, unless Watson was really awful, which he may be, and they're done with the Watson experiment. Like, the one thing about starting Watson, you can't go Watson, Sanders, back to Watson. And that may end up being the real reason. When everything is said, it might be something as simple as that. You can go Sanders, Watson, back to Sanders. That you can do. You can't go Watson, the veteran, to the rookie, back to the veteran. There's no point in it, because at that point the season's lost. So you might as well just go Watson, Sanders, maybe Dylan Gabriel, something like that. So they're going to give Watson the first crack at it. They got Carolina at home, Pittsburgh at home, Jets on the road after that. That's not bad. You know, their schedule, I told you, the AFC North got a decent schedule this year. So, tough defense in Jacksonville. Not so tough with Tampa Bay. Carolina, Pittsburgh, pretty good defense. Jets defense sucks. Baltimore defense last year sucked. And then they got Tennessee. They don't have a bye until week 10. I don't think he'd have that many weeks. I would say when they lose to the Jets in week 5, and then they come home and play rival Baltimore, that would be the one. Yeah. I don't, you know, if they started off 1-4, like, say they lose to Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, I think they can get a split out of Carolina, Pittsburgh. You're 1-3, and then you're playing for your job against the Jets on the road. You lose to the Jets, you come home 1-4. There's just no reason. Not to mention, you got a bad defense in Baltimore, and then you got Tennessee, whose defense is actually pretty good, but those are 2 winnable games for them, or at least one game where you could put up 20-plus points and offensively look good, and then another game where you could put up 17-20 but still win the football game because it's Tennessee. So I would say that Jet game. That would be the one answer. Ronnie, a good buddy. Is Jose Altuve a Hall of Famer? Good. I would say, you know, if you're going to throw out the buzzer and all that other stuff, I would say yes. But let me go to baseballreference.com and double check.
What's some Altuve stats?
Yeah.
AL MVP, 9 All-Stars, 6 Silver Sluggers, 3 batting titles, 2 World Series. He has surpassed 2,500 career hits. There's a chance he could get to 3,000.
Wow. You know what? Look at Timmy there. I don't know if you saw that tweet and thought I was going to bring this up, or you just, you're a big Jose Altuve fan. I'm not sure, but
Jose Altuve. I'm a Rangers fan.
He's got some pretty good. He's got better numbers than I thought. He's unquestionably a Hall of Famer.
I think there's no question, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that until I saw those stats.
Yeah, he's a lifetime. He's a first ballot probably, and I do give first ballots a different level of everybody else, but he's got a lifetime batting average of 300. Right, so you got to figure maybe that dips a little bit over the next 2-3 years. He's 30. He's only 36 too. He should have another year or two. So his lifetime batting average is 300. He's going to have over 2,500 hits after this year. He's got 2,487. So you got to figure he's going to get 13 more. So he's going to have 2,500 hits. So he's probably going to get to 3,000. He's got 279 home runs. So he's probably going to get to 300 for his career. He's got 329 stolen bases. Now, he hasn't stolen that many bases this year, so that's going to tail off. He's only got 4, but all right, he might get to 350, but still over 300 is pretty good. So he's got a little bit of power. He's got some stolen bases. He's going to have about 1,000 RBIs. He's got 929 now. Lifetime batting average to 300. Yeah, he probably is. I mean, he definitely is a Hall of Famer. Definitely. If you got the MVP, he's got the World Series. And again, it's up to you if you want to decide that, you think he was cheating his whole career. I doubt that, right? Maybe a year or two, a couple of years, but you got to give him his due. But I will say at 36, he's slowing down. 245 this year, 265 last year. So Is that, is this the beginning of the end for him? But still, I think he's still good for the 3 batting averages, the 300. I think he's still good for, close to 300 home runs. Can he get 500 more hits? That he might not actually get to 3,000, because 500 more, he's got 99 this year. He had 156 last year, 185. That's still a pretty, he'd have to have a couple of more really good years. But I don't think he's done. So, but Hall of Famer, yeah, Ron, he definitely is. So, also writes in, to what degree do the Astros still wear the scars from the cheating scandal? With me, none. I don't care. Did they know what pitch was coming? Yeah. In fact, there was an incident last night in the Arizona-San Diego game, Ron. I don't know if you saw that, where Arizona accused San Diego of stealing signs. So everybody does it. Did they take it to another level? Yeah, probably. I don't know if we'll ever find out about the buzzer, if that really occurred. That would really be like the next step if it really was wearing a buzzer. But the bottom line, all these teams, even here in 2026, last night, like I said, you got teams accusing other teams of stealing signs. So everybody does it. I don't think that made him a 300 hitter. I don't think he was doing it every single year. I mean, he hit 300 how many years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, 7 years. He hit 290 a couple of other years. I mean, he's a legit hitter. He really is. So that might cost him first year. Maybe that would be the case. But otherwise, for me, no. I don't. Steroids is one thing. That's where I kind of draw the line. But the buzzer and then stealing signs, and that's Major League Baseball. So good job by all the folks that they're tuning in. Again, hit that subscribe button and make sure you send a tweet at Opposite Picks. Go to the website, oppositepicks.com. Go to our FanStream Sports website for more shows. That is fanstreamsports.com. All the shows are listed there. No show tomorrow. Like I said, I got to go to a funeral, and then we'll pick things back up on Thursday. So we will leave you with this. Yes. We got the front side from Sophie, and we got the back side from this young girl. Gotta love women. They're willing to just show it all off. And if they're willing to show it, we're willing to watch it. Simple as that. So let's get some winners tonight. We got Mark Lawrence coming up on Friday. We got Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, on Thursday. And then hopefully we have some profitable winners later on tonight. So be good. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And check out, again, fanstreamsports.com for all the other shows. And we'll talk to you on Thursday, folks.